and particularly in that sales context, it's okay, what particular sales traits are our best people doing well? Benchmark that, and then look at how you can move the rest up to what the best are doing.
Damien Andrews for NEXTGENX Professional here with Peter Anthony, and today we are talking about why retention trumps acquisition in sales. Peter, what's your experience? Why is retention much better than acquisition?
Yeah, it's an interesting topic, isn't it? And I don't necessarily agree, really.
Yeah, you don't agree?
I don't,
Well,
I'm
I
going to be a
suppose
bit,
at the start you've actually got to do some acquisition first, because if you don't acquire, you don't have any.
yeah, you've got zero acquisition, you're going to have zero growth. I agree. I agree with the uh, not just retention, obviously, but retention and growth,
Mm,
not just retention. So I would be what I've found works particularly well is is understanding what your best people do well,
mm,
and then uh, and particularly in that sales context, it's okay. What particular sales traits are our best people doing well? Benchmark that, and then look at how you can move the rest up to what the best are doing in
mm.
terms of like an internal development strategy. And if you think about like sales training or sales coaching, you think, well, what am I coaching them to do? What are they best at? What are my best people best at already? Create a high performer role benchmark and attempt to move the rest up to the best, and also make while you're doing that, make the best aware of what they're doing that makes them the best. If you've
Mm.
got client managers um, or client service directors in the firm that are very good at it, they may not know why they're great.
Yeah,
So
the case.
it'd be useful to do that study, help them understand what makes them great, and then move. And step number one would be, in terms of retention, is to grow the team up to the that high performer role benchmark. Is
Mm.
that how you were thinking, Damien?
Yeah, I love where you're taking this conversation, Peter, because what you're talking about there is how do you maximize the skills of your sales team? And it's one of those things I've found that works really well is highlighting where those talents lie because people have natural talents. I'm 6 foot, I'm never going to be a really good jockey. It's not going to happen. And as much as I might train or try, putting myself in the dryer to shrink myself, I'm never going to be a jockey. So I can maximize my skills in other ways. But as a team, and this is where that collaboration component works really well, is if you're working with your sales team, I found if you take the people that are really good at what they do, but you are clever in how you put together the sales team, you have a broad range of strengths where they then build on each other. So you might have, someone that's really, really good at cold calling, and you might have someone that's really good at following up. Putting those two people together, if you take it the other way, if you're taking someone that's really good at cold calling but not good at following up, you might be able to train them. They may be able to learn that, but if they're naturally not good at it, they're still not going to perform as well. But as a team, if the person is really good at cold calling and you work on them being even better at that, they're going to be one of the best in the world at that if you progressively work through. Then you have someone else on the team that's good at following up and they work collaboratively. Then as a whole, your team is going to far outstrip what other
Mm.
people are doing. Is that your experience too, Peter?
Yeah, absolutely. And also a lot of big professional services firms, uh, people tend to gravitate over time to more client-facing roles.
Mm,
Like some people are naturally good with the client, and some people are more technical skill focused. You think that that's great. I'm going to keep the technical skill focused people in more technical areas, and I'm going to have the client people gravitate more towards more client facing roles. But you think, um, and both should be recognised and rewarded in their own right because you need technical skill professionals as well, uh, focusing on that level of excellence that firms providing to the clients, plus the client service people that are more managing those relationships. But as those people are being promoted in that client service space, or that so-called sales space, they may not be aware of what it is they're doing that makes them great. And you think the flip side of that, when we're looking at acquisition or bringing people on board, you can use that same benchmark, the same benchmark we use to understand what makes the great people great in the firm. We can use that same benchmark to identify people who join the firm because you've got a particular DNA, a particular way of doing things, particular way of treating and managing and uh, attracting and winning profitable clients. You think, well, here's what our DNA is. Let's find people that have that DNA and bring them on board. And then they will thrive. They'll be successful along with the others in the firm that demonstrate those same sorts of traits. So that's why I said in the beginning, it's difficult to say whether one trumps the other. I would say one comes first. I think the development comes first
Mm.
and then the acquisition, but I wouldn't say one trumps the other. I think one would just comes first because it's very hard to grow significantly without bringing new people on board. But what people do you bring on board, and what are they good at, and uh, is what they're great at from a client service and revenue generation point of view, the sort of thing that's going to work well in our firm.
Well, that's exactly right, Peter. And from that perspective, it really is as and a global strategy that you need to apply to your business. When I say global, I'm talking about the world. I'm talking the global within your organization as to how you hire people, how you undertake sales, because and it's a lesson I learned late in life was no amount of skill fixes a poor partner choice. If it's just not a fit, it's not going to work, and that applies in business and in personal. So, if people want to learn more about NextGenX Professional, how do they reach out to us, Peter?
Well, there's contact details at the end of this video. It's definitely not one size fits all. We would like to talk to you if you're interested in learning more about how to grow profitable revenue in your firm. Reach out to Damien or I. We'd be happy to understand more about what your particular client issues or revenue issues are, and then talk about how our approach might help you potentially grow profitable revenue in your organisation.